So it's daylight, which sometimes is a bit strange for me, but there we go. So what are we doing today? Well, we're going to go for something a little bit shorter than the normal time lapse. We're going for a ISS passing the face of the sun. So as ever, let's spin you around, see what you've got here. We have my Benro Polaris, which is currently set up to track the sun. We've got Canon R5 with 200 to 800 and a 2x converter, so we're tracking the sun at 1600 millimeters. Got a solar filter on, and what we'll aim to do is we'll aim to take a series of photographs as the ISS crosses the sun. It's going to take less than a second to cross the face of the sun, and it's going to do it at exactly, I think it's 13:54 and 44 seconds. So we'll have a GPS clock synced, and we're going to go for a shutter release, and I think we're in electronic shutter mode, shooting at 20 frames per second. So we'll see what we get. I've used the Benro Polaris quite a lot on a few of these vlogs, and quite a few people have messaged me and said, can you show us the setup? So I've tried to do that today. So while we wait for the time to arrive, I'll take you through the setup that we've got here. So the first job is really to set up the tracker on the tripod, and you're going to make sure that the tripod is super level. And I've got a little level on the top of the Benro tripod, which you set perfectly. Again, for this particular project, it doesn't have to be super level. Then we power on the Benro, and it goes into its hold position, and then we have to start up the Benro Polaris app. So I'll just do a screen recording of this, bring it up so you can see what we've got. There we go. So we start the app. The app will then search for any devices locally. You can see my Benro Polaris has been found. Click connect. Bluetooth connection will be made, and then for a bit more bandwidth it'll offer to connect using Wi-Fi, which it does. Talk to each other for a bit, and then I'm into the app. Flip the phone into landscape, and when you're starting to use the Polaris, it's good to double click on the joystick buttons to put the Polaris into its static position, so you can see it's leveling off, and then the Astro head, which is the little head that you can see on the top there, will find its location. Then we're going to put the camera on. This, as I said before, was an RF 200 to 800 with a teleconverter on, so we'll put that in, and then we're going to connect the camera up to the Benro Polaris so that the camera can be seen and identified. Plug that in, and what you should see on the app now is that when I switch the camera on, there we go, it says it's connected to a Canon R5. I'm going to put the solar filter on. It's really, obviously with such a long lens, well, with any lens really, absolutely super important to put the solar filter on before you start doing any alignment anywhere near the sun. This is facing north at the moment, so completely the opposite direction from where the sun is. But you want to make sure that you don't risk pointing any lens at the sun without a filter on when it's this high in the sky and this much magnification. Okay, so the next stage is to do a polar alignment. Well, it's not really a polar alignment, it's just an alignment letting the system know where it is. So I'm going into Astro mode, and now I've taken the case off my phone, which is a magnet. I'm going to orientate the compass, stick it alongside the Benro Polaris, and it calibrates. Now what this does is it tells the Benro Polaris basically where it is in the world using GPS, and it also tells it where it aligns using my phone's compass. The next stage is to do a 1-star alignment, and obviously the only star in the sky at the moment is the sun, and we want to be tracking that. So it will go to where it thinks the sun is. It's a best efforts at this stage, and then I will adjust it little by little to get the sun in the frame. So you can see the Polaris is slowing around to where it's predicting the sun will be, and on the screen you can see a sort of an overlay showing what planets and stars it would be seeing if it was night. So now I can use the joysticks to actually move the camera left, right, up and down until I see the sun in the frame, and there it is. There's the sun. Bring it into the center. Going to get it right into this crosshairs, and when I'm there I can then confirm that I'm pointing at the sun. So now the Benro knows that I'm aligned with the sun. I can drop down the overlay, and there's the sign. There's the sun that I'm seeing through the lens. Going to now zoom out to zoom in to 1600 millimeters. Still needs focusing and exposure setting, but it's good enough for where we are right now. And I'm now gone into sort of minute moving mode, and I'm going to get the sun recentered, and then when I'm happy the tracking will start and the Benro will just do its little dance, bring it back into the center. And now, as you can see in the bottom right corner there, it says tracking, and if you look at the azimuth and altitude, you can see that they're changing slightly. Now what I'm going to do is go to what's called shutter mode, which basically takes the control of the camera away from the Benro Polaris and gives it back to me, and I'm doing that because I want to focus manually and I want to set exposure by looking through the viewfinder of the lens, viewfinder of the camera, and I won't actually use the tracker to control the camera at all in this stage. I'm just using the tracker to track the sun. So I've got the time going here, and then you can see the tracker tracking. You can see Max in waiting for the waiting to happen. So I made a change. I've switched from the R5 to the R6 Mark II because the R6 Mark II does 40 frames per second, and the transit is only going to take 0.74 of a second. So we should get about 30 frames that include the ISS in them. But we will see. It's a beautiful bright day, not a cloud in the sky, and the Benro's tracking really well, so shouldn't have any real issues. Don't really need the tracker, to be honest, but it saves me messing around re-centering the sun at every opportunity. But yeah, we'll see what we get, as I always keep saying, and yeah, I'll bring you back when the time is right, and then we'll take a look at what we've got. Exactly 1 minute to go. 53:44, so we're going at 54:44, so 13:54 and 44 seconds. And the idea is that I'll take about a 3-second exposure, or I will press the button for about 3 seconds, which should give us plenty of exposures. And I'll keep an eye on the viewfinder. Maybe I'll actually see the ISS crossing over. So, got about 30 seconds now. I'll start pressing on 43. That's about a second and a half before we go. So here we go. Coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. That should. Let's have a quick look. Pretty tricky in this bright sunlight. There we go. There we go. There's the ISS dead center. I'm going to zoom in for you. Don't know if you can see that very well on here. Probably not. Let me spin you around. Thank you, Maxim. There's the ISS, dead centre. So, all right. Well, we'll go and process those and see whether we can get a decent shot. But a lot of setup for a 0.74 of a second experience. Talk to you in a minute.